I want you to save that, though. That's funny.
It's saved. I can just start from here. Okay. Hi, Addison. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
So how have you been since the last time I saw you?
Um, at first I was doing a lot better, and then me and my mom got in a really, really big fight, and I cut again.
Okay, so what was the fight about?
The fight was about I left my cell phone in a cab, and I didn't want to wait on insurance to send me a new one, so I went to the Verizon store and I bought a new iPhone 6, and it was $900, and I didn't think twice about it. And now looking back on it, I should have thought of it, but it was just like in the moment. I really just wanted a phone.
Okay, so you really wanted a phone, and how did that lead to you and your mom getting in the fight with you buying the iPhone? Like, how did that all transpire?
Well, I kind of liked her. She asked me how much it was going to cost, and I said 200. And then I forgot that she still gets every time I use my debit card, she gets a text message notification about it. And it told her the truth, which was it was $900. And looking at it now, I know that was an irrational decision, but that day and that frame of mind that I was in, I just didn't think twice about it. And so she got really upset that I was so irresponsible and for losing the phone, and irresponsible for spending that much money. And she basically blew up at me and told me how I was really spoiled and just didn't think twice about something like that, and how I needed to grow up. And then I got really upset that I felt like she was treating me like a child. So I started screaming at her, and then she started crying, and then I left, and then I got home and I felt really bad, but I was still mad, and then I didn't know how to deal with those emotions, so I decided to cut again.
Okay, so the emotions you had when you decided to cut were mad, and you said you were feeling bad.
I felt guilty, I felt angry, and I felt upset that my mom would say some of the things that she said to me.
So you were feeling down on yourself, and when you've cut before, was it in reaction to similar emotions?
Times that I've cut before, it's actually like a range of emotions, I feel like. When I'm sad, or when I'm anxious, or I don't know, angry. Some people go out and they run.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't give me the same feeling as when I cut myself.
Okay, so you're dealing with your emotions by cutting.
Yes, and I know that when I'm not, I know that that's what I'm doing, but when I'm doing it, I'm like in another world almost.
Mm-hmm. And that is something that a lot of people who cut may feel like, and they may experience that they know what they're doing, but sometimes they're just so overwhelmed by their emotions they don't know any other way to cope or handle their feelings. And similarly to how you deal with your emotions, they deal with it by feeling pain to distract themselves from that emotion. I do have a question to ask you. When you do cut, does it make that feeling go away, or does that feeling return?
It makes the feeling go away for a good, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes afterwards.
But after that 10 minutes, the feeling returns. So one thing that I would really love to work on is getting to a place where you can be okay with those feelings, mm-hmm. and accept those feelings, and recognize that those feelings don't define you, and that you can find other ways to cope and to handle your emotions besides cutting, because obviously cutting is a temporary fix, and we want to work on a more long-term fix that can really help you, because it feels good in the moment, but it's just like any other thing that we go through in life. We have to figure out ways to handle it in a more healthy way that's going to be more beneficial, for you and to help your well-being. So I know that last time we had talked about the brain, and I had given you a sheet, I believe. Here's what we looked at, this diagram, and we talked about the flight, fright, and freeze, and working on, we talked about mindfulness and practicing mindfulness to, rewire your brain so that you aren't jumping to the fright, flight, freeze, fight, fright, freeze. I get my F's mixed up.
It's hard to say.
It is really hard to say. So I wanted to continue with that practicing of mindfulness, just so we can get your brain to keep practicing, because it's not going to be something that happens overnight. Mindfulness is something that you really have to work on. So I would like to today work on mindfulness and do a meditation, a breathing meditation, just a short, just to practice, so you can take something home with you. There's also a bunch of podcasts and links I can give to you to help you go through a guided meditation. And then also, I wanted to talk about, since, mindfulness is something that takes a lot of practice and you might not see immediate results, I'd love to talk about some other ways to cope with, your emotions, some more helpful ways, some self-soothing things that you could practice so that you don't always have to resort to cutting yourself when you're feeling negatively. So I'm a very visual learner.
Me
so
too.
I thought that I would show you this diagram of your mind and your states of mind to kind of give you a better understanding of mindfulness. So you have your logical mind with, it can be separate from your emotional mind.
And I think that's kind of how I feel. Like, I have a logical mind, and then I have my emotional mind. And when it's my emotional mind, I just can't control it.
And that's exactly what mindfulness will help with, is finding a balance between your logical mind and your emotional mind. So when you have that balance, we call that the wise mind. You are accepting, mindful, non-impulsive, self-compassionate, and thoughtful in that state of mind. And so that's what we're going to work towards in practicing mindfulness. And hopefully you'll be able to integrate this into your daily life. So I'd like to start with a breathing mindfulness exercise, just because, breathing is so natural to us. It's something we do every day, and we don't even think about it.
Yeah, I feel like I should,
yeah, you can
get ready for it.
Yeah, relax. I mean, you can sit back, get completely relaxed, feel centered, maybe uncross your legs. Just get to a place where you feel relaxed. So once you feel comfortable, I like for you to put both feet on the ground, sit quietly, place your hands where you feel comfortable. If you feel comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes. Allow yourself to feel centered and comfortable. And I want you to bring all of your attention to your breathing. I want you to notice the breath as it enters your body through your nose and travels to your lungs. Notice with curiosity whether the inward and outward breaths are cool or warm. Notice where the breath travels as it enters and as it departs. I don't want you to change your breathing, for this exercise. Just make it as natural as possible, as comfortable as possible. Notice the breath as your lungs relax and you inhale through your nose. Just notice the breathing, pay attention to it, be aware of it. Doesn't matter if you're breathing slow or fast, deep or shallow. It is what it is. It is your breath. Your body is acting naturally. You might notice that each time you breathe in, your diaphragm or stomach expands. And each time you breathe out, your diaphragm or stomach relaxes. Again, don't try to do anything, just be aware of the physical sensations of breathing in and breathing out. If you find that thoughts intrude, this is okay. Don't worry, just notice the thoughts. Allow them to be and bring your awareness back to your breath. When you feel comfortable, you can open your eyes. So what did you think about that exercise?
I was actually thinking the whole time about concentrating on breathing. It's actually kind of hard for me to not change my breath because I noticed I was breathing shallow, and that's why in the middle I took a big deep breath because I started getting kind of anxious because I felt like I wasn't getting enough air. So that definitely says something about my mind and where it takes me.
Well, it's not something that is natural for most of us. Most of the time we are running on autopilot. Have you ever been driving down the interstate on a road trip and you don't even realize, what's around you? The next thing you know, you're at an exit.
Yeah.
That's how we live our lives a lot of the time. And trying to live our life mindfully can be very difficult because we're not used to it. So it's something you really do have to practice.
And I think that you're exactly right because I feel like at the end of the day, when I'm getting ready for bed and finally calm, I look back and I'm like, I was so stressed and running around like a chicken with my head cut off all day that I don't even think about what I'm doing. I just do it so I can get on to the next thing. I don't think about what I'm actually doing. I just need to, slow down and live in, concentrate on what I'm doing at the moment and appreciate the moment instead of rushing through it and always thinking of what's next and stressing myself out.
And that's all about what mindfulness is. You kind of hit the nail on the head. So practicing this also, I don't know, you said you felt anxious. I don't know if you were able to be with that thought, if that stuck with you, or if you were able to let it go.
It stuck with me the whole time. I was thinking of things that I need to be doing right now. In my head, it's like, I could be doing this right now instead of enjoying the moment. But I think that also ties into my time management because, I do put things off to the next day, and I could have done them. I'm just very bad at time management, and I know that also ties into stressing me out, and then that ties into when one little thing sets off my emotions, I just freak out, So I think the whole mindfulness thing and living in the moment, and concentrating on the now instead of I just need to start taking things one thing at a time instead of piling things onto my brain.
And that's when you get anxiety, is when all the things pile in. And I noticed when you were talking, you had a lot of judgments on yourself and of, how you manage time and how this happens. And, also the thing about mindfulness is being accepting and compassionate to yourself and, not passing judgments on your thoughts, your emotions. Your emotions and your thoughts do not define you. They are what they are. They're emotions and their thoughts.
Yeah.
And you aren't your emotions and you aren't your thoughts. And when you can learn to balance those and take a step outside of yourself and kind of see what's going on and recognize your emotions and thoughts as what they are, that can really help you to, be able to handle the things that are going on in your life, difficulties and emotions and distress that you're having.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to keep practicing this. I'll give you a copy of this.
Okay, I'd love that.
This activity, and you can take it home, practice it. I'd also like to talk about some of the self-soothing exercises